Viewers, welcome to Akshaya Vlogs and Crafts. Today, let's see Sri Swami Samarth Akkalkot Maharaj. Preface. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Mere words cannot adequately express the glory and the magnificence of an avatar. Who knows their origin? Who can authoritatively say what the purpose for their manifestation is? This difficult task was attempted in the first edition of the biography of Sri Akkalkot Swami, also known as Sri Swami Samarth in English, by Mr. Karandikar and Mr. K.V.R. Rao, both now deceased. They did a very good job considering the difficulty in writing about an avatar of the magnificence and the immensity of Sri Akkalkot Swami. I owe a great deal to both the authors. The first edition was sold out within a short time. There has been persistent demand for reprinting the biography. It was thought that we could take advantage of this opportunity and rewrite the biography. This edition has been rewritten, keeping in mind the fact that many of our readers may not know Sanskrit, nor be able to read Devanagari script, especially children of devotees who have grown up abroad or have been educated in the English medium in school. Life of Sri Swami Samarth is in a much smoother fashion. The flow of the narrative is also historically more accurate. New material has been added on the life of Sri Krishna Saraswati, who was the first generation disciple of Sri Akkalkot Maharaj. An entirely new biography of Sri Namdev Maharaj, who was the chief disciple of Sri Krishna Saraswati, has also been incorporated. Apart from these additions, an effort has been made to explain the spiritual significance of some of the events that took place, which may seem inexplicable to our mundane mind. The concept of omniscience and Gupta Shishya has also been explored. An English translation of Nana Prapanje discourse has been included. Pointers have been given on how to recognize a guru. Pujya Nana Prapanje, the publisher of the first edition, recounted to us the miraculous way in which assistance and money would always turn up. Whether in the building of our mood in Apta or in publishing the first edition of the biography of Sri Akkalkot Swami, in the present venture too, the guiding hand of Sri Swami Samarth was experienced throughout. He removed all obstacles and ensured successful completion. A British secretary agreed to type the manuscript, in spite of the pressure of work in her regular job. In response to my plea, she also used to type the manuscript at home. In spite of being a mother with the demanding children, she did all this work free. May Mary modules always enjoy Maharaj's grace and blessings for typing half the manuscript. In order to expedite the publication of this much awaited second edition, it was decided to send the balanced manuscript to Mr. A.B. Bokar, life trustee of our trust in Bombay, who arranged for it to be typed. Since I was residing in London at the time, the manuscript has to be sent from London to Bombay and back again. I was worried about its safe delivery and return in the normal course. By the grace of Sri Swami Samarth, relatives, whether flying to Bombay or returning to London, came forward to carry the manuscripts, and their travel plans would materialize as soon as it was time for the manuscript or typed copy to be sent or returned, without a single day being lost. The direct experience of Swamiji's grace by devotees continues. Some of these later experiences have been incorporated, while the previous work has been rigorously edited and some parts abridged. My contribution is very limited. The author of the first edition wrote, "If this book can awaken interest to the divine mystery of Sri Swami Samarth, he himself would help and guide them further. He is the everlasting existing divinity responding readily to the call of the earnest and yearning seekers. The Master will reveal himself as he has been doing to so many other people. So far, the Master is not far off. He is in our own heart. He is the transcendental and immanent reality of this universe. May His grace be showered on all." It is hoped that this edition will help the readers experience the supreme grace and blessings of Sri Swami Samarth that many readers of the first edition have had. I have endeavored to present this revised edition in the company, yet more informative way. All errors are solely my responsibility, and readers may forgive me for them. Isaac Newton and said that he could see further because he stood on the shoulders of the great scientists before him. Similarly, no credit accrues to me as I could rely on the works of spiritual giants, a few of whom are listed in the biography. My deepest respect and thanks to Nana Prapanji, who has been the spiritual moving force behind this revision. The effects of Mr. Swapan Day and Mr. Broka can never be adequately expressed in words. May the blessings of Sri Swami Samarth be on all of us. Dr. V. R. Prabhu, Editor, Sri Swami Samarth Vishwa Kalyan Kendra, Apt Pata, Panvel, Maharashtra, India, 22/8/96. Chapter 1, Introduction. We live in a spiritually dark age where extraordinary greed for power and money reigns supreme. The social responsibilities are forgotten, and qualities like compassion, caring, and sharing have become mere words in the dictionary. Greed and selfishness are honored by the new philosophy of market-driven economy, and massive social suffering is being unleashed on people all over the world. Traditions and cultures which made men and women behave like human beings have all been discarded in the name of rational thinking and self-interest. For most people born and bred in this age of science and knowledge, our ancestors had its fit only for libraries where research scholars could write exotic these and get PhDs. Knowledge of the past is considered to be of no value for coping with the problems of the present. According to such rational or scientific people, our ancestors could not help being backward. They did not have technology. Their preoccupation with religion was one of the many signs of underdevelopment. In India, we still see thousands of apparently sane men and women subjecting themselves to utterly meaningless restrictions like tormenting themselves by celibacy and fasting, wasting time on pilgrimages, fantastic rituals, repetitive prayers, and so on. In this enlightenment age, all for nothing, all out of ignorance and stupidity, none of it is to be taken seriously today. They are ignorant, backward looking fundamentalists. They are turning their backs on reality. It is still permissible to refer to God sometimes, although every educated person knew that there was no God. Our ancestors did not know about evolution, and so they invented these rituals and myths. E. F. Schumacher, who studied Gandhi's work and presented it in Small is Beautiful, writes, the result of the last 300 years is the Western man is rich in means and poor in ethos. The hierarchy of his knowledge is lopsided and decapitated. His will is paralyzed because he has lost the grounds on which he to base a hierarchy of values. What are his highest values? Modern society prides itself on pluralism, which means the things which are good in themselves and ends rather than means to an end. Not only are power and wealth treated as good in themselves provided that they are mine and not somebody else, but also knowledge it for its own sake. Speed of movement, rapidity of change, quantity of education, number of hospitals are treated as good. In truth, none of these sacred cows is a genuine end. They I all means to an end. He quotes Etin Glinson, who writes, a world which has lost the Christian God cannot but reassemble a world which has not yet found him. It is a relapse into mythology like blind evolution, orthogenesis, etc. It is important for us to realize that mankind is doomed to live more and more under the spell of new scientific, social, and political mythology. Unless we relentlessly exercise these befuddled notions which influence on modern life is becoming appalling. When there are so many modern gods all competing with one another and claiming first priority, and there is no supreme God, no supreme value, no supreme good, society cannot but drift into chaos. The modern world is full of people whom Gilson describes as pseudo-agnostics, who combine scientific knowledge and social generosity with a complete lack of philosophical culture. This modern world tends to be skeptical about everything that demands man's higher faculties and his wisdom, but it is not skeptical about skepticism, which demands hardly any intellect. The pathway produced by modern materialistic science leave all the questions that really matter unanswered. They do not show a way to a possible answer. They deny the validity of the question. Question like, what am I to do with my life, is today answered in an individualistic, selfish way. Make yourself as comfortable as possible. Mankind were, after all, only animals. Paramahamsa Yogananda writes about science in her nature's domain. She is eternal and inexhaustible. Future scientists can do no more than probe one aspect after another of her varied infinitude. Science thus remains in a perpetual flux, unable to reach finality, fit indeed to discover the laws of an already existing and functioning cosmos, but powerless to detect the law framer and sole operator. The majestic manifestations of gravity and electricity have becoming known, but what gravitation and electricity are, no mortal knows. Her further quotes Marconi, the great inventor, who said that inability of science to solve life is absolute. The mystery of life is certainty, the most persistent problem ever placed before the thought of man. This fact would be truly frightening were it not for faith. Traditional wisdom as reassuringly plain answer: move higher, develop your highest faculties, gain knowledge of God. Unselfishness was considered the highest value, and working for the greatest happiness of the greatest number the highest principle. Human birth and opportunity. The human race has been in continuing process of spiritual evolution from the beginning of creation. Human beings occupy the supreme position in the entire creation because they alone have been gifted with intellect, the power of discrimination and reasoning, which faculty has been denied to the other species, sentient and insentient. Human birth is the most precious and sacred opportunity for spiritual evolution and self-realization. One should realize this and strive to use his life to release oneself from the cycle of birth and death. If we miss this opportunity, what guarantee is there that we may get another human birth? We might slide down and be born as a subhuman species in the next birth and be doomed to the unending misery of repeated births and deaths. Utilizing the faculty of discrimination, one should discover and become aware of one's inner divinity. God has created us in His own image, as our scriptures proclaim. Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. The Jiva is not different from Brahma. We should strive hard for spiritual evolution. When there is earnest effort, divine grace would be forthcoming to lead and guide us towards the fulfillment of our life mission. We have to first rid ourselves of the animal traits and cultivate and foster higher human values. Cleansing our mind and heart, we should discharge all our duties in a spirit of dedication and altruism. Cultivating the love of God and fellow beings, we should seek satsanga, company of saintly people. Satsanga works out a spiritual alchemy, accelerating our march on the Godward path. This brings God Himself nearer to us. Pray for and attain a Guru, for without the grace of God we cannot find a Guru. Divine graces comes in the form of a Guru. Gu means darkness and Ru means dispeller. Thus Guru means dispeller of darkness. The Guru brings about a complete metamorphosis in the disciple. A Guru enlightens the disciple and helps one attain the truth and jnana. The Guru is not different from God. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo, Maheshwaraha, Guru Sacha, Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri, Gurave Namaha means Guru is Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara. Guru is verily the Parabrahma. I bow unto that Guru. Unreserved and wholehearted surrender earns the grace of the Guru. Once the Guru's grace is earned, blessed indeed is the life of that disciple. Guru is the mother, father, teacher, friend, indeed God for you. The Guru leads the disciple from darkness to light, from untruth to truth, and from death to immortality. Though through the Guru only this is attained of moksha or mukti possible. See Appendix 1 on how to identify a potential Guru. The chosen land of the Lord. India is the most blessed land indeed. It is a Punya Bhumi, the sacred land of the Lord. Through the ages, Maharishis have expressed only one desire. If rebirth is necessary, then let it be only in India. India is the only Tabo Bhumi. All the other lands are Bhoga Bhumis. The Lord has taken several incarnations in India, known as Maha Avatars, from time to time. Besides the Maha Avatars, there have been numerous avatars and a continuous line of Parahamsas, Mahapurushas, Supermen of God, saints and yogis, keeping the spiritual torch continuously light, a light in India. The saint is not different from God. Brahma with Brahma Bhavati, the one who has intuited Brahma becomes Brahma himself. Indeed, after Pope Paul VI returned from his visit to India in 1965, in his Xmas message, he said, India is not Catholic, but what a country, what opening of the spirit. We saw in the crowds of humanity of great nobility. They were not all Christians, but they were profoundly spiritual and in so many ways so good and winning. This from a person who declared before his trip, honesty compels us to declare our conviction that there is but one true religion, that is Christianity. In India, God is worshipped in many forms. There are several sects and various names and forms are attributed to their gods. But there is nothing to be baffled about by this diversity of faith and worship, because all of them have one common basis, the teachings of Vedas. Isavasyam Dam Sarvam. All this, the world, is indwelt by God. God inheres in everything, in stone, plant, reptile, animal, human beings, and in every bit of creation. He is the inner reality. He is all pervading. Cultivation of this vision is the sole objective of Indian philosophy and religion. Thus, in India, the objects of worship range from stones, trees, rivers, mountains, animals, and the sun to idols, saints, deities with form and formless Brahman. All these have their votaries and all receive devout worship. Paramahamsa Yogananda has related his initial reluctance to bow to a stone at Tarkeshwar shrine with amusing and somewhat painful consequences in his autobiography. When the tulsi plant is worshipped, kinship with all plant life is established. Similarly, when a cow is worshipped, kinship with all animal life is established. The endeavor is to break down egoistic individuality, expand love, and attain a cosmic vision of all creation. India has a holistic approach to our planet and practiced ecological principles thousands of years ago. Reason for different Samprapradyas. Ekam Sat Tavitra Bahuda Vadanti. Truth is one. The realized ones call it by many names. No two human beings are alike. Each differs from the other in temperament, aptitude, likes and dislikes. Each is at different stages of intellectual and spiritual evolution. For this reason, the same path of spirituality doctrine may not suit all. In spiritual endeavors, each aspirant has to choose his or her own path. If this is understood, one will be perplexed by the multiplicity of gods that are worshipped in India. This is why various sampradayas flourish in India. The word sampradaya means at one and same time discipline, tradition and cult. All forms and names are different facets of the same Supreme Being. The form one has chosen for worship being symbolic of the one absolute Godhead. All rivers flow into the same ocean and all sampradayas lead to that all-pervading God. Various sampradayas has evolved in India over the past thousands of years. Within the fold of Vedic Sanatana Dharma, the eternal code, there is no discord between the different sampradayas. Each sampradaya has its own special future and each is rich in its own tradition and beliefs. The Vaishnava and Shaiva Sampradaya center around Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva respectively. The Dattatreya Sampradaya is one of the important Sampradayas in India as all faiths are in harmony in this Sampradaya. Votaries of Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva also refer Lord Dattatreya. All four spiritual disciplines, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga are harmoniously blended and integrated in this Sampradaya. This Sampradaya has its origin with the Datta avatar, the avatar of Lord Dattatreya, God of all Gurus. The Trinity of Godhead, Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara is in one form to keep the Sampradaya pure and to revitalize it. They are avatars, manifestations of Sri Dattatreya from time to time. In the last millennium, the Datta avatars have been Sripad, Sri Vallabha, Sri Narasimha Saraswati, Sri Manik Prabhu, and Sri Akkalkot Maharaj Suami Samarth. As will be seen later, Suami Samarth is actually Sri Narasimha Saraswati reappearing after a lapse of 3 centuries. Lives of Paramahamsas, Mahapurushas, and Avaduts are like icebergs, i.e., an iceberg may be as massive as a mountain, but only a tiny portion may be seen above the surface of the ocean. We live on an earthly plane of consciousness which prevents us from comprehending the divine plane and transcendental states of their consciousness. Behind their external worldly manifestation, there is a vast, fathomless inner life which we can neither perceive nor understand. Like an iceberg, only a tiny portion of Sri Swami Samarth manifestation is known. To try and describe his glory is like attempting to grab the sky in one's hand. This biography may have captured only an infinitesimal fraction of Sri Swami Samarth's true glory. It is hoped that, like a few drops of holy tirtha, it will provide benefits to readers. Sri Swami Samarth message. Sri Swami Samarth was Gurudev Datta in human form, having come to give his divine message for the well-being of all humanity. Let us reflect upon his message. You reap what you have sown. You cannot shirk off your responsibility from your past karma. Nevertheless, divine grace can ward off some bad effects of your karma. Take to his name. Chanting of his name, japa, can destroy all sins. It consumes them like fire. Surrender unto him unreservedly. There is no greater succor for you in the Kali Yuga than the name of the Lord. Cultivate viveka, discrimination, and try to recognize the reality, i.e., God behind all pluralistic phenomena in the world. Just as the Paramhamsa, divine swan, separates milk from a mixture of milk and water, one should look within oneself and experience the eternal Atma, spirit, which is the substratum and reality behind all the layers of matter which constitute the ephemeral cosmos. Do not shirk work. Work is the means for both self-sustenance and self-perfection. Laziness destroys both the body and soul. Whatever work has come to your lot, take it up in all sincerity, devotion and earnestness as worship unto him. No work is lowly provided. It accords with one's swadharma. Efficiency and perfection in work is yoga. Only enunciation of principles or precepts will not help spiritual growth. It is sheer hypocrisy if they are not put into practice. What our dharma requires is acharan, practice or implementation, and not pracha, talking or preaching. Seek satsang, the company of pious and saintly people. Darshan of these holy people sanctifies one. Cultivate selfless devotion, cultivate humility and egolessness. God loves the humble and pure-hearted. God is in all. See God in all. Do not forget that all are alike in the eyes of God. All are His children. Swami Samarth assures us, I am ever alive. I am everywhere at all times. If you call my name, I shall certainly respond. All are dear to me. Call out Swami Samarth and I shall be with you instantly. We have in Sri Swami Samarth the Kalpa Vriksha, the wish-fulfilling tree. He is the ever-responding Almighty, which has been experienced by thousands of devotees in the past as well as today.